We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc in theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up.
Okay, guys, I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter how many times I hear that song, it gets me pumped. Like, that's my freaking jam.
Hey, everybody, welcome to episode number 2 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast. This week, we got a ton of stuff going on. First, we're going to touch on a lovely little segment that we are calling this week, Dude, I Swear It Was Good. So we're going to get to Andrew on that in just a second. We've got a question that we got from our friend Jack on YouTube. Thanks, Jack. And Scott's going to touch on his points on Batman versus Superman. So first of all, Andrew, tell us, what movie did you watch this week that you swear up, down, left, right, and center was fantastic, that missed the mark in terms of your expectations?
Okay. For starters, I need to apologize to a whole whack of people because I've actually pushed this movie at people, and it does not meet my expectations, and it shouldn't meet anyone else's either. That movie is Planet of the Apes from 2001. The Mark Wahlberg one. Yeah.
Sounds good.
And right off the bat, I don't know how I thought this, but I thought the main female ape in that movie was Janet Jackson. Like, she was played by Janet Jackson. And it turns out it's Helena Bonham Carter. I don't know how I mucked that up. I have no idea. I've spent, like, literally 15, 16 years thinking that it was played by Janet Jackson. And I've told people it was. So that's my bad. IMDb and that movie, thank you for correcting me, because I would have kept telling people. But I'm not going to thank you guys for wasting, the couple hours of my life that movie was.
But it was directed by Tim Burton.
And in your defense, she was in a lot of makeup, and you probably saw it before IMDb was a thing.
That's true.
Or was a bigger thing. Like, it might have been a thing, but it might have been like Facebook in 2003, which was like, it was only at Harvard, so it might have been IMDb was only available at like
I'm going to touch
Stanford.
base on how Craig mentioned Tim Burton there later on. But I'm going to start off by stating other actors who are in this movie, which it's a pretty quality caliber. I mean, you got Mark Wahlberg, he's the main guy, Captain Leo Davidson. You got Helena Bonham Carter, not Janet Jackson, as Aerie. You got Tim Roth, okay, the guy from Lie to Me, and he played Abomination in The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, he was the bad guy.
He's the bad guy. He's General General Trade or whatever his name is.
I didn't know that.
You got Michael Clark Duncan, like that big motherfucker, like
Rest in peace.
Green Mile, R.I.P. The Kingpin, fantastic in Daredevil, and then you got Paul Giamatti from Big Fat Liar. Like, who in my opinion, he's got to be the most famous forgettable actor.
I always forget his name.
Like, did you guys know that he plays Tim the Gate Guard in the movie Robots?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I am also in the middle
that's
of
freaking
looking
Paul
him up
Giamatti.
because
Like,
I don't know.
I've only seen Robots once.
Other than playing Santa Claus in the movie Fred Claus with Vince Vaughn, like, this guy's career is like just secondary roles of nonsense. But he made money off it, so I gotta give him credit. But he's that actor who just doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot. Like, he doesn't really progress plots at all. But
He's not a very big leading man, yeah.
No. But, like, the whole concept of this movie, like, it makes sense. And then the acting caliber behind it, you'd think it would be maybe not a blockbuster, but a pretty top-notch movie. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, okay, well, what? Like, it just seemed like it missed the mark on so many things.
Yeah, I
like
can see how you could see that.
Like, at the end, like, the Caesar ape, whose name is Pericles, or,
Wait, what was
Pericles.
that? Pericles?
Pericles.
What is Pericles?
I don't know. Craig, fact check.
Yeah, fact check us.
Got it.
Find out what Pericles is.
Pericles.
But anyways,
Sounds like
he's
Pericles
like
when you say it like that.
It sounds like some like pretentious person's
or
pronunciation of
Pericles.
Hercules.
I don't know how to, like Pericles. I don't know.
Well,
But like at the end of the movie, like he comes through a wormhole and like crash lands like right in front of Mark Wahlberg, even though he left the ship before Mark Wahlberg. He doesn't show up till the end. But then all the apes like they treat it like it's the second coming of their Jesus. And just so everyone's aware, it's not Jesus on Planet of the Apes. No, it is Simos, not Jesus. And then frickin' Tim Roth's character's like, I don't give a shit, fuck Jesus. And he chases them into the ship. And you're like, okay, well, this is the end. And then the actual ending happens, and I'm like, you know what? Thank God this movie's done. Like,
So just a quick update before you continue. Pericles was an ancient Greek man.
just a dude, nothing special about him.
Well, he was a statesman, influential Greek statesman, orator, and general of Athens during the Golden Age.
okay,
There we
General
go.
of Athens, I think, is where they probably would have gotten it from.
Once again, forgot to
I
grow
should
up.
scroll sideways.
Once again, forgot to grow up has taught the listener something. You know, this is what we're here for: education.
We learned something as well.
Exactly. You guys got to grow with us.
But I gotta defend one thing. The reason the ape showed up after him is because of time dilation when he went through the wormhole.
Fair enough. Fair
And
enough.
there's no guarantee that like every time you go through a wormhole that you're just gonna pop out at the same time as the person who just went before you. That's just,
It was just one of those things that really took me out of what was going on.
It's super convenient timing for the plot, but it's a plot device, right? Like that's
Yes, wormholes fixing plot holes.
Yes, exactly.
But I mean, in no one's real defense, I mean, it's not it's a shitty movie. I'm gonna say that it is not a fantastic movie. However, it should have had Johnny Depp in it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
got Helena
definitely-
Bonham Carter in it. It's been directed by Tim Burton. It has to have Johnny Depp.
What if Johnny Depp was a monkey and we just didn't know?
Whoa. First of all, that's
what's that the thing?
offensive. It's an ape. It's not a monkey.
Oh my bad. I'm sorry.
You need to apologize to our
I'm-
potential ape listeners.
I'm sorry.
Just so everyone knows, Forgot to Grow Up is not a racist podcast.
There we go. Especially to apes. We're not prejudiced to apes or monkeys.
No, we love them all. All orangutans. Which one is orangutan? I don't know. I'm sorry. I didn't take zoology. I don't know the difference between these things. They're all hairy things that you see at the zoo. That's all.
Scott doesn't see color.
Back to movies.
Back to movies. But yeah, like it just seemed like the whole time rewatching it, knowing, you know, who Helena Bonham Carter is, you know, knowing who directed it, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, he's got to be coming soon. Like Johnny Depp's got to be showing, and then he doesn't show up, and I was like, okay, well, movie's done. Like out of hold up, sorry, maybe it's not 6.
6.
Yeah, 6 out of 8 of the movies that Helena Bonham Carter and Tim made have Johnny Depp in it. Yeah, you got Alice in Wonderland, the sequel. You know, those 2 ones. You got Sweeney Todd, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Dark Shadows, that super weird vampire one,
Never saw it.
and Corpse Bride. You know, they've all got all
Never
3 of
saw it.
those. And then there's only 2 other ones that didn't have Johnny Depp in it, which was Big Fish and Planet of the Apes. And that's just a statistic for you guys. Like,
Wait, Big Fish? That was him?
yeah, that was my boy Tim.
I didn't know that was Tim
Fact
Burton.
checking.
Yeah, it's Tim Burton, man.
I really like Big Fish.
It's-
If it's that's the one with Ewan McGregor, right?
Yeah.
And his dad tells lies, right? Like his
I think
his dad
so,
tells
yeah.
stories, and he
Yeah.
never believes his dad. But then when his dad's dying at the end, spoil alert, people. It's an old movie. What's our spoiler
Well done.
rule, guys? We didn't discuss this before. What do you think?
If it was made before last week, we don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, perfect. Okay. Well,
And
yeah.
Big Fish was directed by Tim Burton.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I really enjoyed that movie because it's hilarious that he thinks his dad's a liar. And then at the end, you see all these things show up, and it's like, what?
What's
I thought
going
his dad
on?
was a liar. What's going on? I gotta rewatch that movie now, though. that was a weird, like, little tangent off of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, that's one of those movies that I told people it was, not a cult classic, but it had my seal of approval on it, and now my seal of approval is tarnished.
I wouldn't go that far.
I kind of wish I hadn't watched it. I'm going to say it. I'm on
Really?
record. I kind of wish I hadn't gone back and rewatched it.
Okay. I haven't rewatched Planet of the Apes in a while. I do feel like, though, the reason you probably did enjoy it so much back in the day was when you were younger. Craig, what year did it come out?
2001.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Way to have that. Didn't even fact check. So 2001, how old would it have
It's
been? We'd have been
written on
like
his
8,
paper.
right? 8? At the time?
Eight seems like math.
Yeah, that seems like the right
Yeah.
math. So we would have been 8, so that's why we would have enjoyed it, right? We had simpler minds then.
I know exactly where I was the first time I saw it.
Where was that?
And it was at my cottage. We hadn't put the addition on it yet, so I'm sitting there in the tiny ass TV room, and I get up and I get a drink of water, and I'm like, oh my god, that was amazing. That was amazing. Spoilers: when Mark Wahlberg comes from the future, and then ends up going back to what he thinks is home, and it's DC, but it was taken over by Tim Roth's character, and I saw it coming back then. I was like, oh my god, it
Yeah, I think we
happened.
all saw that
Oh
coming.
my god. And then I was psyched for a sequel, and now I'm like, thank God I didn't get a sequel.
It wasn't supposed to get a sequel.
It's like they set it up for a potential one, though.
No,
like with that ending.
No. Nowadays you think that because we're trained to like expect sequels for everything. That was his way of like just bookending it and like blowing your mind at the end.
It did.
was
My
the
my
point,
8-year-old mind was like, boom.
Because it was supposed to be impossible to write after that. Because like how are you supposed to like what's he gonna do like time travel again to get rid of the apes? Like
Yeah.
do an uprising? No,
Pericles, it was a superhero, man. He was Jesus. He could do anything.
but see, like the timeline, like it just didn't make sense though. At the same time, just because he went back to the time he was already, even though the apes were in the future, somehow went back in time. Like, it's one of those times a flat circle things, and it just makes no sense.
Time is not linear, guys.
I heard that like some movie I was watching. Was that a movie? That might have been a movie. 43. I watched that.
It might have been. I'm not
We'll get to
sure.
that later.
Latro. What we're going to get to right now is a shout out to our dear friend, a fellow cinephile to the core, Jack Lawrence, leaving a couple questions on our YouTube page. Appreciate it. That's where you got to go. If you guys want to hear us talking about the hot topics, you want our opinions on stuff, leave comments, email us, hit us up, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, hit us up. We will cover it on the podcast. We will. That's what we're here for. He's hitting us up. First question that our boy Jack asked, who is our favorite Joker? He said his is Mark Hamill. Scott, who's yours?
Well, I had to think about this because I liked Mark Hamill's portrayal too. In the animated series, he did a great job. That was always like the most comic book Joker we would ever got, like a portrayal of. I felt, but I always had a little soft spot in my heart for Jack Nicholson because that's what I grew up with. He was the first Joker I saw because I definitely saw that movie before the animated series because I think it was actually made before the animated series started,
I think so. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was 89 that Batman movie came out.
Yeah, that first one was 89, and then the animated series I believe started in 93.
92, I think. I think it was 92.
Yeah, I think it maybe came out with like the second.
It was definitely around. It was definitely after that.
Yeah.
That first
But
Tim
anyways,
Burton
so, like,
again, another freaking Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, I definitely have a little bit of a soft spot for some Tim Burton movies. He's a little wacky in my kind of way, to be honest. I'm a little dark like him. I've always connected with that. I'm just a little like I had bangs in grade 8. I'm gonna admit it. It happened.
Was that because of him?
It was a phase. I don't know if it was because of him. I think it was a little bit of like it was like subconscious maybe. Like
Just
the
admit it,
goth
Scott. It was
stuff.
because of Tim Burton. You wanted bangs.
It was
right?
not. It was not. No, I had bangs. So trying to impress ladies at my school.
I have earrings because of AJ from the Backstreet Boys. Scott had bangs because of Tim Burton. It happens.
Wasn't Tim
it
Burton.
happens.
It wasn't Tim Burton. I like Tim Burton, but I wasn't aware of him back then. That was before you knew what directors were.
Yeah,
I was
fair
grade
enough.
8.
What's a
Grade
director?
8. Well, grade 8, I was like, what do directors even do? Like, I still really liked Arnold Schwarzenegger back then. I watched every one of his movies.
That's
every
true.
weekend.
That's true. I can't say I blame you. But, you know, I got to say I'm on the same page as you. My favorite, you know, live action portrayal of the Joker has to be Jack Nicholson, you know.
He's just...
His incantation, I mean, there's so many different versions. You know, you got your gangster, you got your maniac, you got your guy who comes across as a maniac, except he's totally clerical. He knows exactly what's going on. He's got like this hypersensitive version. Jack Nicholson was just a gangster who happened to fall into some stuff. And I thought he played that part like to perfection. You know, he was just nutty enough. I mean, unpopular opinion, I didn't really like the Heath Ledger Joker. You know, I liked the character in the movie. I liked what he had to do, but he's not my Joker. I mean, he was more, in my opinion, and again, it's an unpopular one, and I will probably hear some kickback from this. I considered him more like Anarchy. That's what he was. He was Anarchy. Oh. He was basically coming out and saying, you know, you're doing it this way, I'm doing it this way. You know, we have to coexist, which is true. You know, Batman and Joker, that's the thing. You know, the killing joke. That's why it ends like that. Does he kill Joker? Does he not? They kind of need each other. They feed off each other.
Yes.
But I just took it as, you know, Batman had been around prior to the Joker, and then the Joker just happened to decide one day, you know, Heath Ledger's Joker, well, you know, Batman, he's my guy. I need to be with him. And it was just one of those things where he seemed to be just going above and beyond just to cause problems.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like about the Heath Ledger's portrayal. Like, he did do a great job in that Nolan universe, because Nolan's portrayal is definitely more like grounded. Not maybe grounded.
They're people, is what they are, right?
Yeah, they're not real people. They're not superheroes.
They're not. Yeah, they're not just real people.
Yeah, and so like that's why like I still enjoyed his portrayal, but I've always preferred Jack Nicholson, because it's more like the comic book, or more like he seems more like a clown. Like the Joker's supposed to be a clown.
Sure. The Crown Prince of Crime.
Like just because you put the makeup on doesn't make you it. But I did like his dark portrayal, because, you know, again, I'm dark, and Nolan went even darker than Tim Burton went, which is pretty.
Like it was a great character for the role, but it just wasn't my Batman. It wasn't my Joker.
Too. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't my Joker. Like, he did a great job, but it's kind of like how Jared Leto just isn't anybody's Joker.
Jared Leto's just a guy who makes a weird laugh. That's Jared Leto. And
sends dead stuff to his castmates.
Yeah, because he's a loony.
And I'm just like, that's not the Joker either. Like, that was one thing I like about Heath Ledger's portrayal and his portrayal. What was his name? Jared Leto. That they were a little like, they were taking it way too like, oh, this is how an actor would play the Joker, and it's like, no,
a little too method acting. Is
exactly,
what it was.
And it's like, no, Joker knows he's in a comic book. He knows that this all doesn't matter, and he knows that all he wants to do is his only purpose in life is to fuck with Batman. Like, that's his only purpose, and like. Heath Ledger had a good way of he did kind of portray well that he, you know, his job was just to mess around with Batman, but I felt like Jack Nicholson's was the most like kind of cartoony, which is what you want in what I always want in a superhero movie, is a little bit more like comic booky, a little bit more just a little unrealistic, you know. I don't want it too grounded, because they're not supposed to be grounded. He's a super villain. Like, I like when he has acid spraying out of the flower in his coat.
Oh yeah,
like that's the Joker, not
I
stabbing somebody's pencil through their face. Like, that kind of says, but that's that's like extreme Joker. That's like you just introduced him.
That's anarchy, is what it is. It's anarchy.
Is that a character?
Like if they had to, I'm pretty sure it is. I know they do it on Arrow. Anarchy is a character on Arrow.
Oh, that guy.
He's the crazy dude who like burns himself.
Gotcha.
Or cuts himself. Yeah, that's anarchy.
I forgot about that guy. Like, when you said it before, I'm like, do you mean like the concept of anarchy? Because he definitely does. Of both, he does definitely represent that, but I guess that's why he's named Anarchy too, because that's what he's about. It's kind of like, isn't there one superhero in Arrow that's name was just the Vigilante? And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, yes, you guys couldn't do better than that. Why don't you just name him Super Dude?
Well, Vigilante's actually a character. Like, if you go back.
That's just a
But
terrible
if you go
character
back
name.
and if you go back and watch like that Justice League cartoon from when we were kids, Vigilante he's a cowboy.
See, I like that a little
Justice
better.
League Unlimited.
I'm gonna have to go
He's a
back.
cowboy. He's just a cowboy. Nothing special about him. He's just a dude. He's a cowboy, and it's gangsta. It's thug. Anyways, moving a little bit forwards
Wait,
with
wait,
Jack.
wait. We didn't get Craig's opinion on the Joker. You just.
This is like the only thing I have an opinion on.
I know. It was the one note I knew
it's
you
really
had.
not even
and I
that
was like,
much
let's
of an
not skip over
opinion.
that. We skipped over
Sorry,
my
Craig.
Batman
Sorry, Craig.
Returns note before.
I get excited about talking about more DC stuff. My bad.
Yes.
So I actually had to look this up because I'm that guy. I've only ever seen a couple iterations of Batman to actually be familiar with
Wait,
it. So turns out Mark Hamill is my favorite Joker, just because I used to watch the animated series.
So
on Saturday
consensus:
mornings.
Mark Hamill is everyone's favorite Joker.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to all the other Jokers, the only other Joker I'm actually familiar with is Jared Leto. So
Wait. You haven't seen the Heath Ledger one?
Nope.
What?
I just haven't
Wait.
spent the time
Was
to watch.
Wasn't that part of our contract when we started this podcast?
I'm out.
swear,
I
it's
quit.
I swear it said Star Wars and every Batman movie. I swear.
I knew it
I
would-
swear those are the only two clauses I wrote. Like,
I knew it would take
Everyone out
only-
there, we are
only a
now on
couple
the market
episodes
for a
before you
new
hate me.
producer. We're on the market
you have to be good with tech.
because I am not.
And can write us a new
Otherwise,
theme
the thing
song.
falls apart.
No, it's okay,
'cause
Craig.
I'm taking
It's
that
okay,
with
It's
me.
okay.
Craig.
We'll
It's
let
all
this
right.
slide.
We're
You'll
just
watch
giving
it
you a hard
eventually.
time. We're giving you
It's
a hard
on
time. Yeah.
Netflix.
It's definitely going to be something we do as part of the podcast. Craig
Oh, for sure.
forced to watch every Batman movie.
Exactly.
Okay, well that's gonna go on my list, but you have to pick between that and Forrest Gump
Ooh.
Ooh.
Can you watch both? But we decide what
at
order.
the same time. Yes, yeah, I'll watch both. but you
That might
decide
work.
order.
That could work. Forrest Gump, you don't need like full attention in. You just need to like check out the good scenes. like
You basically just need to know history, and that's it.
yeah, and you can put the rest together.
Just
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
We'll just buy you an encyclopedia, and you could pretend Tom Hanks is reading it to you, and there you go. There's Forrest Gump.
Perfect.
But it's amazing.
Jenny.
Okay, I'll make sure that I watch them eventually.
Okay, moving on to question number 2. Jack asks, why is everyone always hating on DC compared to Marvel? And
I gotta go first in this one because
Take it away, Craig.
you
I like
guys-
Craig, jump in the gun. Let's go.
because
I like him just
because,
hopping in there. Just take it away.
Yeah, so I actually don't have an opinion on the difference between the two of them. I'm pretty equal opportunity. I like to be entertained.
I'm on the same boat. I mean, aren't we really at a time where, like, any geeky movie that comes out, like, Craig, you and I, when Lego Movie came out, for God's sakes, we were there opening night. Like,
And it was the best.
Star Wars comes out, people are going to go see it. You know, Star Trek comes out, people are going to go see it. DC, Marvel, does it really matter? I mean, you're going to pay your money. You're going to go see it, right? Is that not what time we're at?
But I would say for people like the three of us, maybe I wouldn't go as far as to say the whole population is quite on board. I know I still get looks when I'm wearing my Iron Man T-shirt out in public because people are like, oh, you're a grown ass man, and I'm like, I know I have a beard, but I like Iron Man. He's got a beard too. But I also think
That's fair.
that the reason that like I agree with you both that like we are at a time that like why can't we just enjoy it all? I think Jack's point was more like or question was more so around like why critics and like that led to a lot of bad kind of hearsay about it, which is like the people that aren't like us, which are people who minus Craig have watched every comic book movie.
Oh, for sure. Like, for example, let's jump to Rotten Tomatoes, okay?
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes, here are the 4 percentage rankings for all the DC expanded universe. Okay. In fourth
Extended.
place, extended, sorry. In fourth place, obviously we have Suicide Squad, which had a 25% approval rating. Which, you know what, I'm gonna go on record saying that one, it deserves it. That was not a fantastic movie.
I
I'll
wouldn't say
watch
25. I wouldn't say
I'll-
25.
Like, it's not the best, but it,
It deserves
definitely
like a
deserves
40. This is like a 40. Like that's 2 out of 5. I say. I think it deserves a 40.
But here's the most blasphemous thing. Batman v Superman came in at 27%.
Yeah, I know.
Like that is hatred. That is
I know.
hate.
I know. We have a rant which is going to be dropping in the next. Well, it probably already dropped before we're dropping this podcast, actually. So you guys might have already
Don't
seen
ruin
it.
the magic of radio like that, Scott.
It happened. That's my favorite part about podcasts is ruining that magic of when did it happen.
This is
breaking
that
down the
time
fourth
loop
wall
that
of
we were talking
podcasting.
about with
The
Planet
flat
of the Apes.
circle,
That's what happens right
the
now.
Flat circle. I wish we were recording because I keep making symbols at this because it's not working. Anyways, what was I saying? I totally got lost.
Batman versus Superman was 27%. Man of Steel is 55%, which that was better than it was too. Like that one deserves to at least be 78. Like that deserves at least a 78. I thought it was fantastic. And then Wonder Woman comes in at 92. So my thing about this is why is there such a huge spectrum? Like Wonder Woman was a great movie. It might have been one of the best action movies of this year so far. But my problem with it is why is there such a big difference between one to the next?
I think what really happened was those first couple DCU movies, so Man of Steel, and then followed by Batman v Superman and then Suicide Squad. They all had higher expectations held up against them because of it was almost 10 Marvel movies by the time Batman v Superman came out.
That's true.
That they were being held up against. So everybody was just expecting this masterpiece, and it's like, no, they're still getting their training wheels on. Like does nobody remember the fact that from Iron Man 1 to 2 they switched the black guy?
Yeah.
They just changed him and thought, oh yeah, we're not gonna touch on that. Just happened.
They just decided hustle and flow was not for the DC or the.
Well, he
Marvel,
wanted too much money. He wanted too much money. It's what I heard.
Don't we
what
all?
I read. Well, I agree, but he would have eventually got that Marvel money. He just had to, I think he wanted Star Wars money, and I'm like, man.
Oh damn.
Marvel's not quite Star Wars yet. Come on.
I just did math right here, guys.
Did you?
And the average for those 4 movies averaged out between Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, all 4 put together and divided, comes to 49.75. So a sub 50 rating where the lowest Marvel rated one was Thor: The Dark World, and it came in at 66%.
And
So
that was
Wow.
actually I prefer pretty much all the DC movies to that Thor.
Yeah. That was one of those movies to me that it seemed like they just said, we got money, let's just
we
do
can just do
stuff."
this. Yeah, I was I didn't feel any care in that. Of all the Marvel movies, that's probably my least favorite because it felt like they had the least amount of thought in the story. It barely connected in. They were just oh yeah, we need to get this Infinity Stone in. It's not even a stone though. It's this liquid kind of thing.
It's the ether.
Yeah, it's the ether, which is just you guys just like that name,
Yeah.
which is cool, I guess. But I mean, you could have come up with a better story. I thought, even though
for sure.
I did discover only last year or sometime that the guy who plays the bad guy, what was his name, Malekith?
Malekith. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the dude who played the first Doctor of the reboot. What was his name? Fact check me, Craig, please. It's Chris something.
What was the name of that movie?
Which movie? Oh, damn it.
The one you're referencing where you want the actor's name.
Oh, just look up Doctor Who.
I've been paying
The new
attention.
Doctor
I've
Who.
just never seen any
Pardon?
of them. Oh, the guy who played the
The first of the new
Doctor
Doctor Who's. Or you could have just put Dark World in and he would have been the bad guy. Either one.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Continue with your conversation.
Okay, so between Thor: The Dark World coming in at 66, and then you got The Incredible Hulk coming in at 67. Both of those movies were subpar to me. I mean, I liked them. I'll watch them again and again and again, just like every other action movie and every superhero movie. Mm-hmm. But something about them seems worse than 3 out of 4 of the DC movies.
And well, what I was thinking about actually when I was looking back at this, those all these movies, the first few Marvel movies, they came out around the time when we had some really terrible superhero movies, which were Catwoman and
And
and Daredevil, arguably, Like some people like it, some people don't.
That's true. Also, it just hit me. It's Christopher Eccleston. That's who you're
Thank
thinking
you.
of.
Can confirm. I was about to interject.
Thank you. I always forget his name, Christopher Eccleston. I learned that last year, and I love once I learned that, I kind of liked the movie a little more because I like him as an actor. He was in Gone in 60 Seconds,
That's true. He was.
which was a great Nicolas Cage movie. Steals cars, but when I found out he was in it, it made me like it a little bit better. But it's still not as good as any of the DC movies, and I would even argue like Suicide Squad, because Suicide Squad, yes, has some flaws, but like I'm tired of everyone picking on the flaws of comic book movies. They're comic book movies. They're really meant for children. Like let's all be candid here. Let's all be honest. We're three dudes who forgot to grow up.
That's exactly what happened.
These comic book movies are mainly for children. Like they do make them so that adults can watch them and enjoy them, but at the premise, it's for children to enjoy, so that children buy or beg their parents to buy them the merchandise. It's not so like
That's where the money is. It's money's in the merch.
exactly, and it's like not like the average person isn't buying as much merchandise as me and Andrew, but
Oh, exactly.
the average child bought for them is getting crazy amounts. And like when Suicide Squad came out, guess how many toys that was for those kids? That was a lot of
All
toys.
of them.
All of them. How many? I don't even know how many members there were. Did
Now
they get a Slipknot? I don't know, because he got killed right away. Is that a toy?
Spoilers.
Probably.
Spoilers.
It's old enough now. I thought
It wasn't made last week.
yeah, we decided.
Here's my theory about why there might be a little more hatred on the DC than Marvel, and I think it's just that Marvel they're at that point where they can say, okay, we can take the Infinity Stones and we can use those to create other characters. For example, you got the Mind Stone. It made the Vision. Perfect. Okay, they made that Thor movie just to shove the ether down your throat. They've been able to tie the Tesseract, the Time Stone in the Eye of Agamotto in Doctor Strange. They've managed to take those and give those the reasons for powers. Fine, beauty. But at the end of it, they can also tie things, like they use science to explain a lot of it. Vision was made because of science.
Movie science.
Like Ultron was created because of science.
Movie science.
Like movie science. Like other than Doctor Strange, everything is pretty much just science based. Banner, the Hulk, he's a science experiment gone wrong. Like all of them, it's science. Whereas you look at DC, their characters come from so many different strands. Batman's just a dude. Superman's an alien. Wonder Woman's a goddess. Aquaman, he's Atlantean. He's his own subspecies of human. You got Cyborg, who's another science experiment. He's part mother box.
He's a cyborg.
You got the Flash, who taps into the Speed Force. They have so many different reasons for their powers that it's almost impossible to just be able to say here's heroes, go have fun. Whereas with Marvel, for whatever reason, you sit down and you say, okay, I accept it, whatever.
Yeah,
Go.
Marvel, the pieces fit together better, like because it's all science and they all fall along the same like reasoning line.
Like you look at the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in
Rest in
Age
peace.
of Ultron, R.I.P. And they're all they did was say, oh yeah, by the way, science experiment. Now they have powers, and you're like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah,
And
makes
no
sense.
one even sat down and tried to figure out what they did, how they made it work. It's just, oh yeah, by the way, we experimented on these two twins, and now they have powers. And we all accepted it. We all sat there and said, cool, make them run fast. Oh, she can control things with her mind? Cool.
Yeah, Hydra just figured that out apparently.
Yeah, they just did.
That's one problem I had with it. I'm just like, oh, you just figured that out?
Yeah.
Really?
Whereas, DC, everything's in the same universe so far, in their cinematic universe anyways. They have so many different ways for the power ring, aliens, all that good stuff. Whereas, Marvel, they don't even own everything. Disney doesn't even own all the rights to them, The mutants, which, they're the subspecies, they have powers of their own. That's owned by Fox, so they can't even talk about that. Same with the Fantastic Four. They're another reason to have powers. they can't use those either. You got the Inhumans, which is fine, but they're not tying them directly into the movie. They got their own TV series they're working on.
Kind of.
And then they can use Agents of Shield, to kind of clean up the dirty work and try to explain things, and then use your Netflix special or your Netflix series, the Defenders and everything, to clean up even more problems that came from something else. So they have that platform to be able to answer questions or create other questions to the point where you don't even know what's going on. You're like, I accept it. Just here's my money. Let's watch. Like that's how I feel about it. Is just DC just doesn't have the platforms and doesn't have the same ability to mass produce like that, right?
They're just starting behind. That's all. Like Marvel didn't have the TV shows, 10, 15 years ago with Iron Man. And they just took the time to build it up slowly, whereas DC had to come in, play catch up, and everyone was holding them at a higher expectation because it did come out at Batman v Superman came out within a couple of weeks of Civil War, if not the same week. I can't remember. They're around the same time, and I remember that was one of the things that kind of.
I think Civil War was May and Batman was the end of March.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple months difference, but still, I felt it's always held all the DC movies are held up against the Marvel movies when it's no, don't stop comparing them. Just enjoy them all.
It's like Star Wars versus Star Trek, right?
Exactly.
They both take place in space.
You can enjoy both.
Exactly. They both take place in space, and that's it. That's where you draw the line. One has nothing to do with the other. Same with DC and Marvel. Just pay your money, sit down, watch Batman, and just be happy. Robert Downey Jr.'s there. Just be happy.
Exactly. People don't get upset because, the difference between certain Harry Potter movies and Lord of the Rings, because they're two different separate things. Just because things come from the same source material, i.e. comic books, doesn't mean that they have to be the same types of movies. And
exactly.
I like that DC at least tried to go for a different tone. They didn't want to copy, because they could have easily just copied Marvel. It's not that hard. I think I can make a Marvel movie at this point. They have a formula. It's pretty predictable at this point, and they set you all up. As long as you listen to Disney, you'll be fine. As long as you don't go messing around on set, they'll let you. You just get to film stuff and have fun with them, and they send you all around the world.
And then they give you money.
Exactly, and it's just DC. Just they took a different tone, and everyone's hating on them for it because it was a little different and it was a little messy. And I agree, they should have taken more time. They rushed it way too much. I think
for sure, yeah.
They should have taken more time to figure it out and get it all set into stone. But you know what? We still got a Batman v Superman movie. Which
I know you're very passionate about that stuff.
I am.
I know.
Which people can check out in my rant, which will be on YouTube sometime eventually. We're still figuring that out.
It might already
be there. You might have already watched it before this, hopefully.
Hopefully.
If not, go back. Well, we're still figuring it out. If not, go watch it. Anyways. What was his next question?
Next question.
Did we get enough points for that? Craig, did you have anything to interject? I know you're kind of neutral on the both.
No. I'm neutral on the DC versus Marvel concept, and I personally don't pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes, so I have no comments on that.
Well, I wanted to say one more thing about Rotten Tomatoes. If you're still listening, you should check out the Screen Junkies video. They did a little video about Rotten Tomatoes and how the scores are calculated and why you shouldn't listen to it. And they did a pretty good job, so you should check that out because they do a far better job than I could ever do explaining.
And I just want to toss something else in there. Rather than using Rotten Tomatoes as a gauge to watch movies, listen to the boys that Forgot to Grow Up. We're going to steer you in the right direction. Don't watch Planet of the Apes from 2001. Watch the stuff.
Just ignore everything Andrew has said up to this point.
Watch the stuff that we tell you to watch that isn't Planet of the Apes 2001.
Agreed.
Okay? Now, next question that Jack had for us, and this is kind of a good one. What is the funniest / most awkward scene that someone has walked in on you watching, other than porno for some people? Craig, what is the most awkward thing that someone has walked in on you watching?
I really had to think about this.
Yeah, I was gonna say Craig's a good boy.
Considering that that I didn't watch a whole lot of stuff when I was living in my parents' house, and now I live completely alone. I'm gonna go with I've had to explain some things when my mom or my dad walks into the room and I'm watching something and I'm like, I know it looks stupid, but it's actually hilarious.
It's out of context,
and that's pretty much it. Yeah, they've walked in at a context and they're like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, no, it's actually hilarious. You're just missing all the extra stuff at the beginning. So nothing awkward or strange, just a lot of explanation.
Just a lot of stuff that most people would think is stupid, but we think is hilarious.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so pretty much any episode of Family Guy ever.
Yep. Shapoopy, shapoopy, shapoopy. That joke is hard to get.
Unless you really like to watch the Patriots sing. I guess, Scott, what do you think? Awkward scene?
Well, I was thinking about this, and like you, Craig, I had a little bit of a hard time because with my, like, growing up, I watched a lot of movies with my family, and we didn't so like I watched them as a family, so it's like no one walked in on anything. We were all in the same room. But I do remember, like, one thing in particular when I was younger was I was watching one of the older James Bonds. I think it was like In Her Majesty's Secret Service, if I remember correctly, with my grandparents. And you know, it's a James Bond movie, so eventually there's a sex scene. And this was just at the age where I started to and know what sex was. Because before that point, I was just like, oh, they're just doing adult stuff. I was like,
they're just hugging. That's what they're doing.
Well, they're doing adult stuff. I just like before I knew what sex was, it was just all adult stuff. You know, kissing and all the rest of it. It was just adult stuff, and I just didn't think about it. But then when I learned about it, and you know, other stuff happened, puberty, etc. And
ETC.
I'm sitting there, exactly. Wait, what? Anyways. That acronym threw me off, and I'm trying to think what that was. But anyway, so watching James Bond in Her Majesty's Secret Service with my grandparents, and like a sex scene comes on, and I'm just sitting there awkward, being like, am I supposed to like look away? Am I supposed to pretend this isn't happening? Like they didn't do anything about it, 'cause like I thought they might fast forward it or something, or you know, like that's how some parents handle it, or grandparents handle it. My grandparents just let it play. They knew it was up.
Turns out your grandpa was super into it. He's like, oh, hell yeah.
I wouldn't go that far.
I know I would be.
All I'm gonna say is what I remember was being like, am I supposed to watch this or not? And I was like, so I kind of like looked, like pretended to like play with something, like my grandpa.
Whoa, time out.
No, wait, that came out wrong.
What were you pretending to play?
Wow.
with, Scott?
So what context out of context. My grandparents always had little like puzzle things. You know, like wood puzzle things that you try to like fiddle with. So that was always on the coffee table. So I'd always go play with one of those things when awkward situations come up, you know, like titties on the movie. So like when we're watching the James Bond movie and that comes up, I turn to the coffee table, I pick up one of these puzzly things, and I start like jingling with it, with like the corner of my eye, trying to see like, is this James Bond done yet? Like, is he done with his business yet? Like, okay, cool, okay, there we go. Put it down right away after. I was like, okay. And my grandparents just like didn't even look at me. I'm like, okay, we're just gonna pretend that never happened. Cool. But that was the only awkward or funny kind of thing I had. What about you, Andrew? Any
well,
kind of, like
we all know that I have zero shame.
That's what I was about to say. I was gonna say that.
If my parents could walk in on anything, and I like literally, my mom has walked in on some stuff, and I was like, yeah, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think the most awkward / funny for me anyways, thing that ever happened was no one walked in on me, but my sibling, whose name shouldn't be tossed out here, but it will be. Hey James, shout outs to you. He was watching Spartacus. I don't know if either of you guys ever watched Spartacus.
Spartacus got some awkward scenes for a younger brother.
Specifically because it really covered the fact that, you know, ancient Greece,
they fucked.
In ancient Rome, they
fucked.
All they did was bang. It didn't matter who, what, when, where, why, or how.
They
so
fucked.
it was dinner time. I believe we were having shepherd's pie. You know, my fat guy mind comes. I think we were having shepherd's pie for dinner. And I went to get James. I knock on his door. I open it, and here's just two dudes just banging it out on his TV in his room. And he just looks at me and gives me the, you know, that big dumb, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, dinner's ready. And I just close the door. And then he comes out. He's like, it's Spartacus. It's Spartacus. And that was that. And at the moment, it was hilarious. And still looking back at it now, it's
pretty
freaking hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
It's
shout out to James. Thank you for that material.
yeah. God bless having your younger brother 6 years younger than you, so you can judge him a little bit.
Wouldn't know anything about that.
Use him for material. I love you, James. I will be seeing you shortly. Hopefully, you're listening to this. Actually, no. Hopefully you are listening to this. Yeah. I'm not taking that back. I want you to hear this, and now the world knows.
Hear it all. Every last
Spartacus, though, is a very fantastic TV show.
I enjoyed it, except for when they switched up an actor that killed somebody, and then I couldn't watch it after that.
That's true.
They killed the owner, and I'm like, he's the only reason I watched it. The guy from The Mummy. I'm so bad with actors' names.
Guy from the
uncle from The Mummy. Like the 90s movie. Brandon Fraser mummies.
That guy, yeah.
Yeah,
oh, man.
In Spartacus.
Was his name Andy or something like that in it? Fact check, Craig.
I don't know. He's also
there's very little I can do
Agents
for
of
you
S.H.I.E.L.D.
since it's been forever since I've seen The Mummy. Oh, he's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That doesn't help me either.
Yeah, well, he just got killed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
All right.
What?
Spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert.
Not made within the last
Okay, let's
week?
be serious. Neither of you watched that show. I watch it all the time.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I'm like 2 seasons behind.
Yeah. Well, so
I've
you
seen
haven't
an
even met that
episode.
guy yet. He's going to die eventually. I'm sorry. I spoiled
Oh, my
that.
goodness.
What was his character's name in
It's
in The Mummy?
it's John Hannah. His
There you
character's
go.
name is Jonathan Carnahan. And
Jonathan.
I'm pretty sure he was in, don't quote me on this, but I feel like he was also in Sons of Anarchy. He just looks like a very Sons of Anarchy face. I don't know why.
Well, I'm gonna
I haven't
fact-check you on
seen
that,
Sons
'cause
of
we like
Anarchy,
to-
so I'm not sure.
Ooh, I have.
Yep, I know.
Even Craig
The only
has.
reason-
What are you doing with your life,
The only
Scott?
reason I mention that is because I haven't seen anything else.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. In my defense, I don't think it's on Netflix, but I'm not sure about that.
It's on
It's
American
not.
Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. And I used to have, like, what was it called before? Show Me. Did either of you ever hear Show Me?
I've heard of Show Me, yep.
Show Me.
The Dead Rogers.
Exactly.
Thing,
So I had Show Me back in the day when it wasn't dead, and it was on there.
R.I.P.
Yeah, and I tried to get to it, but it was the worst app ever. Like, it loaded like 2004 YouTube. Like, it was terrible. Like, Show Me. So it was on there, and I was meaning to get to it, and then they shut down Show Me last year in November. So that was a waste of some of my money. No, I got a refund. It's okay. It's all right. Shout out to Rogers. Dicks.
Shout out to Rogers.
We're giving all these companies free advertising.
Now, while
They're
we're
not going to
giving
enjoy
Canadian
some
thing,
of it. We just called Rogers dicks.
Sure, but while we're giving
That's
Canadian
fair.
things shout outs,
Don't cut off my phone.
I'm gonna be that guy who throws it out there, you know, R.I.P.
Self-promotion time?
to
awkward.
Gord Downey. I'm giving
rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
to him.
And
I wasn't gonna bring that up because I wasn't sure. Well, I know Andrew doesn't like the tragedy.
I'm not a fan, but I do acknowledge, you know, his commitment to Canada. And
contribution
going to
to
be-
Canada, yeah.
We're,
his
we're
commitment. He's
dating
committed.
Well, I was
dating
adding
the
on.
episode by
I was
saying-
adding on to that.
there we go. Now,
So, just on the subject of John Hannah, since we brought him up and had me fact check, he was actually in Damages.
damages. That's where,
Oh,
yeah.
so you-
And I did
That's
not want
funny.
to start an entire thing on that because I know that could be an entire episode of.
not yet,
just-
not yet.
well, here's the
Dying.
thing,
You
Craig.
only just suggested that show to me like a month ago. I haven't got to it yet.
Well, here's the thing, Craig.
Prepare to
because
have
you
your
just-
mind entirely blown up.
Because you just mentioned damages, that's a perfect segue. We don't even have to come up with anything. For dude, what did you watch this week?
Oh, that was a
And-
good segue.
We're
Great segue.
completely skipping a segment that I thought we would talk about. I mentioned it off the top of the show.
Exactly.
Does Scott
Here's-
not want to talk about Batman versus Superman first?
We kind of touched on that.
Yeah, I thought we touched on it.
Fine then.
We'll
I'm
touch-
pretty
I
passionate.
can touch
Dude,
on it
what
once
did you
more.
watch
I'll
this
touch
week?
on
I
it
don't
once
care.
more.
Fine.
Just quickly. Just quickly.
Whatever.
It's a good movie, and anyone who disagrees should check out my rant.
Exactly. There we go. Check
Which,
it out. YouTube,
which may or may
Facebook,
not
Instagram.
be on Facebook or anything already.
It might
Or
be there
should-
and it might not be. So
exactly.
we already mentioned that. So okay, that's my bad.
No, it's all good.
On to dude, what did we watch this week?
I started rewatching Damages, because
Legit?
I love my girl Rose Byrne, and truth be told, I thought for sure, Ted Danson. Like, I saw his face on Facebook. He came up on something. And I was like, you know what? I should go back and I should watch Damages from my boy Ted Danson.
Because it'll totally make sense the third time through.
And fun fact, it's just as out there the third time through, but I still love it. Rose Byrne, you're my girl. Your fantasy crush #1. But other than that, and Planet of the Apes, which don't watch Damages, don't watch Planet of the Apes. I actually went and saw that new Kingsman movie that we were talking about on the last podcast. And I'm not going to talk too much about it. It hasn't been out too long.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
No
I haven't seen it.
spoilers.
Yeah, that one's on the spoiler
But I
list.
am going to go on record once again. Mark Strong is in it. He plays Merlin in it, the tech guy.
Okay.
He also played Sinestro in the Green Lantern movie, in case any of you guys didn't know.
I did
was-
not.
He was also Lord Blackwood in the Sherlock Holmes movie
I did know
with
that.
Robert Downey Jr. Love that guy.
He's great.
But as a balding man, I'm gonna say he is the sexiest bald guy out there. I'm gonna say it. He is a handsome ass motherfucker. We can beep this out afterwards. He is sexy.
Well, I'm not going to
Wow.
disagree, but I'm also not going to agree with that statement either. I'm just going to say you're entitled to that opinion. And I'm
As
sure
as a balding man, I hope that one day I can lose about 3/4 of me and look like Mark Strong. But even if I end up looking like any bald guy, I'll take it.
any bald guy.
Any bald guy.
I can think of a few, maybe not.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want to
drawing
keep
a
my
blank.
low.
I'm drawing a blank. I can picture the guy. I'm just drawing a blank on his name, and this is bumming me out.
What does he look like?
He was in
Besides
He
being
was in
bald.
Transformers, Age of Extinction. He had the He wears glasses. He was also the over-the-top guy with the crazy hair in the Hunger Games series. This is gonna drive me nuts. I can picture the guy. I know what he's been in.
It's a good thing we have somebody fact checking for
Fact checker. Man,
us. I'm working on it.
Well,
this is.
our things we're trying to get fact checked are very vague. Like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
dude
I know,
that was
right?
in this one movie, and maybe this other one.
Man, this is gonna
Maybe.
drive me crazy. But
A bald guy?
A
He's
bald,
bald.
guy who was in something, but he was also not bald in the Hunger Games because you said he had some crazy hair.
he had a wig.
What was he in Age of Extinction?
Okay, if you'll see him if you go through the actors. He's a bald guy who wears glasses.
I know who you're talking about.
You know
Wait.
who I'm
I
talking
got
about.
Bald guy with glasses. The first one that shows up is Stanley.
That's
Tucci.
who
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Stanley
There's
Tucci.
Tucci. Yeah.
That beautiful bastard. He also plays Merlin in the new one. In The Last Night,
Oh.
he plays Merlin in Transformers: The Last Night.
I didn't know that. I haven't watched that one yet.
Which to me was a little weird, but it was cool because I love me some Stanley Tucci. But I also like Colin Firth. He's my boy. And even Elton John's in it. And I love me some Rocket Man. Don't let the sun go down on me. That's a jam. That's my jam. Craig, what did you watch this week?
All right. So we talked about it last week. I finished Big Mouth for the second time through. It's equally excellent the second time through.
Same with the
Almost
third and the
finished-
fourth.
I just
Duly
dove into
noted.
that actually too.
I'm almost finished with Mindhunter, the serial killer show that I was watching. I watched the one thing I did watch that's semi-notable. I watched Patton Oswalt's new special, Annihilation.
As did I.
That it was pretty good. It was I would say it was probably about as funny as Talking for Clapping, his other one that's on Netflix. It gets a little touchy feely in the middle, but the poor guy did lose his wife.
Yeah.
So, but it comes back and ends pretty funny. And then I watched the first episode of Fargo, and I would like to know how that's a comedy because it is so weird.
Yeah, I never
But-
thought, like, when I've seen stuff about it, I didn't think it was a comedy, but then when I started, like, reading more about it, I'm just like, wait, it's supposed to be a comedy? What?
Like, there's a couple things
you
where
see
you're like,
dead-
that's kind
You
of
see, like,
funny,
like,
but
dead
then
people on
people
the
are
street.
dying.
Exactly. It's like, what kind of comedy is that?
But Martin Freeman has a glorious Minnesotan accent, so I'm
So
I'm okay with it, so
Minnesota.
I think I'm gonna keep watching it.
So Minnesota. That's a How I Met Your Mother reference for those of you out there.
And that's the other thing I watched this week.
How about your mother?
Is How I Met Your
Oh,
Mother.
nice. I didn't even know that.
I'm still going
That was a
through
good little recall to that. Well, I also watched Big Mouth this week, which I just checked out the first two. I'm not quite as far into it as you guys, or at all. But but I have watched two, and I really did enjoy it. I really like the concept of them, like, having the hormone monster screaming in their ears and telling them to do bad stuff. Because I'm like, that's so what it's like to be a teenager.
Does it? I
Like-
see. I like that they have the hormone monster and the hormone monstress.
Yes, I
and
like
they're
that
two
too.
completely different people.
And it's so true
that's
for the
what it
women.
is.
It's so true. Like the last part I saw was when she was introduced, because the one character was, entering womanhood,
Yes.
and just the way she snapped like that. I'm like, yep. You guys got that hammer on the nail, or whatever. What's the expression? What's the expression I'm looking for?
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Craig.
There we go.
Yeah, that one.
It's basically
even
an
have to fact
animated
check that one.
documentary.
Yeah, no.
No, I got that one right out of the brain.
But yeah, so I checked out Big Mouth. I'm definitely gonna finish watching that because it was hilarious, and I'm curious to see what happens to those young boys as they grow up and get into wacky adventures. One thing I did find a little offsetting.
Off-putting?
Yes, thank you. But the one dance scene where the one dude's at a dance at the first episode, and I'm just like, oh, and how that ends, and I'm just like, oh, that's inappropriate, guys. No, don't do that. Don't. No, oh, you did it. Okay.
She was a Mons pusher.
Yep. Just anyways. So Big Mouth was good, and I do recommend it to anybody who wants something super, super inappropriate. It's not meant for very young kids, but it is. Like, I feel like you could let, like, teenagers watch it and they would connect with it. Like, depending on what kind of teenagers were. Like, my parents let me watch anything.
You shouldn't let anyone under the age of 16 watch it. We need to cover our butts here. If you're under
Fair
16,
enough. Legal purposes.
Don't let your kids watch that.
Legal purposes will say 18, just in case.
Just in case.
I don't know anything. I didn't go to law school. But another thing
I cut hair.
Another thing I checked out was Movie 43, but on your guys' recommendation, and that was a wacky, fun movie. I really enjoyed that last night.
Oh, for sure. I can't believe how many, like, A-list actors and actresses were in it.
Oh, I agree. It's
I can't believe they got Halle Berry in there. How the hell did they get Halle Berry in
with
that
big
movie?
old fake titties on.
Yep.
Making guacamole.
Guacamole.
Guacamole. But yeah, no, that was like I really would love to see a documentary on how that movie was made, just because it was such an interesting, like, unique take and a unique premise. And I'm not going to actually even dive into it too much, because I think we should just put a little Forgot to Grow Up recommendation on that for our listeners. Go check out Movie 43. I know not a lot of people have seen it because it got taken off Netflix, which is never a good sign. Never a good sign. And so I had to go find that somewhere. You'll have to find it somewhere. Good luck. But it's a good one to check out. Plenty of great skits and funny shit. And the other thing I checked out this week was just the Star Trek Discovery show. I watched the first few episodes of that because I get that on Crave TV. And I don't know if you guys have kept up or even knew a Star Trek show was coming out, but I really enjoyed it. It's got plenty of star battles or space battles, not star battles.
This takes place before, like, the original, right? Like,
yeah,
I
that's
heard
the
somewhere
weird,
that the
confusing
Klingons
part.
were still at war or something like that. There isn't peace with the Klingons.
It was so the way the are you gonna watch it? Should I just tell some stuff about it? Should I explain?
Yeah, I'm not gonna watch it, but
okay. So I'll give you.
I've heard a few
probably won't
things.
watch it unless it makes it to Netflix
Okay.
either. So go nuts.
Yeah, so I'll just give you. Well, it probably won't be on Netflix, but anyways.
Exactly.
So
Hear that, Netflix? Prove us wrong. Put it on.
well, it wouldn't be their decision. Anyways, that's another thing we could get into another time when we talk about streaming services. But the show is just it takes place just before the original series. They're at a time. It starts off at a time. It's been like almost 100 years since anybody's encountered a Klingon, and then this one, the main girl, she goes and wakes them up, or something like that. She goes and pokes at a ship, she stabs a dude, kills one of them, and then they're like,
shit.
they're like, yo, this is a good excuse. Let's just go kill all the humans now. And so yeah, the first couple episodes, like the pilot episode, the pilot episode's like a 2-parter, so it's 2 episodes,
Okay.
and it's just a big old space battle between the Federation. I almost called it the Empire, the Federation.
Wrong start.
I know, wrong stars. Yeah,
All of our listeners.
Oh god, just push. But yeah, so the Federation versus the Klingons, this big old space battle, and it was pretty awesome. So if you enjoy a good crazy sci-fi show, then it's good. I'm excited. I'm gonna be definitely keeping up with it week to week as it comes on to Crave TV. But that's mainly all I got to check out this week because we had a pretty short week before recording again this week.
Cool. Anything else to touch on? Anything else to add before we throw our own shoutouts to ourselves?
I don't know. I kind of want to hear Craig do a shout out to himself before we start to wrap this up.
I want to hear his self-promotion.
Shout out to Craig
Sorry.
for producing and editing this episode because it's a monster.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
It's not a hormone monster, though, just for clarification.
Unfortunately, this monster is not voiced by Nick Kroll.
But I just want to go on record again. I want to apologize. John Hamm couldn't make it tonight. He was too busy. He actually sent me an email beforehand, and he said, "Hey, you emailed the wrong John Hamm. My name's spelled JONHAM as opposed to HAMM." And I was like, "Oh man, you led me on, dude." So I'm gonna
error.
So that's my fault, guys.
Sorry, listeners.
I apologize.
Hopefully he'll be able to make it in when his schedule's able to fit into 3 random podcasters who are in Canada, and he lives in LA.
We'll make it work.
We'll figure it out. We'll probably Skype him or something. We've got his number. We'll get to him. We're sorry, listeners, but next week you can expect Jim Carrey in. He's gonna.
He got back to you. Eh? Jim Carrey got back to you.
He did. I know his sister actually. She was a DJ in our hometown.
Oh,
that's actually a true story.
True story. We went to high school with a couple of his long distance relatives.
Very true.
She worked for the radio station around the corner from my house.
Exactly.
There we go.
That was actually true. But yeah, so Jim, you'll be sure to want to check in. He's gonna be talking about The Mask 2 potentially, maybe. I don't know.
Well, wouldn't it be technically The Mask 3?
Well, that's
The Mask 2, the real Mask 2.
I don't want to give anything away. But there might be a reboot thing going on.
Dang.
I don't want to give too many details. But Jim's trying to keep it on the DL. He might be upset that I even mentioned this, actually. Hopefully he's not too upset about that.
Hopefully he's not so upset he doesn't come. But
yeah,
I'm
that
pretty
would be
sure he will.
unfortunate.
He's a pretty
Hopefully
chill
we didn't ruin this by mentioning. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned. Should we? No, we shouldn't add this out, should we? Maybe?
I don't think so.
No.
He's probably on the red eye right now.
Yeah, he's probably on his way.
That was the movie he was in, right? It was Red Eye?
I didn't see that.
Oh, man. I'm pretty...
Do we have time for a fact check?
Fact check. This is the final fact check of the episode. While Craig checks it out, I just want to reiterate, make sure you like our content, subscribe, follow us, Twitter, Instagram, we're Forgot to Grow Up, Facebook, Forgot to Grow Up Podcast, YouTube, Forgot to Grow Up Podcast. You guys got any questions, make sure to leave them in the little comment box below. We will most definitely, absolutely check them out, get back to you. You'll hear our comments, any movie, doesn't matter what. You want it, we will give it to you. We're here for you. We forgot to grow up. This is what we do. Any luck, Craig?
Yeah, what's that fact
Working
check?
on it.
All right, well, you fact check that. We'll just do one last shout out to Jack for leaving us a couple questions to help fill in the space of this episode so we didn't have to come up with the real topic. Thanks, Jack.
And if anybody else wants to do such a thing.
Yeah, if you want to help provide content to us at Forgot to Grow Up, we will be happy to take your ideas because we're a little lazy like that. We put all this work into recording. Why come up with ideas? I'm just kidding. We have ideas, maybe.
We have ideas.
But
they may not be the
You might
greatest.
even
They
get
may not be
credit
great,
for it.
but we do love hearing from you guys. It's always great to hear any questions, even though we've only gotten some from Jack. But it'd be great to hear from some more listeners, if there are any more. But yeah.
Hopefully the 6 of you out there can come up with 6 questions that we can rhyme off for you.
We're
next
definitely
week.
at least 7, I think. I think we.
Oh, dang.
I think
We're
I
growing
saw
so
that.
fast.
I haven't checked our Facebook/YouTube. I meant to say YouTube, not Facebook. I haven't checked our YouTube yet. We might be at 7. I don't know. I'll have to double check those numbers.
All right. Anything else to touch on before we sign this off?
I don't know. I think we should just say goodbye, probably.
All right, cool. Well, that would be it for episode 2 then, and I guess we'll talk to everybody next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Be sure to tune in.